first off here, let me kind of explain my background with these cars. I've owned two SRT4s. This is my second one. I've probably owned them for a total of maybe 4 years, 5 years or so. This one is big turbos, so I do have experience with that. And my friends have had, or a few of my friends have had SRT4s too, multiple ones of them being big turboed. So I feel like I have a pretty good representation, a good idea of what these cars are like. Now, obviously this is a very broad topic, and it's going to depend on each car, how they've been maintained, et cetera, et cetera. But before getting into it, the short answer is yes, big turbo SRT4s are reliable. That goes for ones that are built, bottom end of the engine all the way up, to ones you just kind of slap the big turbo and injectors on. Easier said than done. But yeah, we'll go ahead and kind of break down here the reliability and what I think of them. So starting off here, and I'll show a picture of the engine bay here, show a quick clip here so you guys know that it is built. It's going to really depend on how the previous owner, handled the car. Has it been maintained well? Did they throw a bunch of crappy eBay stuff on there? Did they buy name brand stuff but they didn't know how to install it right? That's probably one of the biggest factors of finding one that's reliable. Next factor is probably going to be mileage. People go out and buy these cars, they have 180,000 miles on them. They're 15-year-old cars now. 200,000 miles on a car, of course it's not going to be as reliable as something brand new. I mean, there's something with 100,000 miles, what do you expect, And then also depends kind of what power do you want to put down. Do you want to put down, 400 horsepower? That's probably roughly what this makes, and 400 horsepower even on a, non-built engine is pretty doable, and it's nothing crazy, something that's streetable, that's something you can still have fun with. Now, you want to push 500-600 horsepower on one of these, you're starting to get away from the, streetability factor, and, once you get over 500, you're even starting to get away from the reliability factor at that point. They are great cars. It just kind of depends, mileage, how they've been handled previously. And the biggest thing is younger people get a hold of these, and not that that's a bad thing, but it's a car that you can make 400 horsepower with for, $6,000 to $8,000 if you find the right one. And sometimes they aren't always done right, and that's probably one of the biggest things too. Now, when I say they're not always done right, what I mean by that is someone goes and they throw, eBay parts on there. They don't do it right. They go out there and they blow up the engine. Well, of course, if you're not doing anything right when you're building it, it's a turboed car. The tuning has to be correct. You got to get the right injectors. The right turbo's got to line up with the right cam. There's a lot of factors that go into it that people don't take into consideration, and they just go out there, buy the biggest turbo they can, run it, and blows up. Now, as far as issues with them, with a big turbo, you're going to have the same issues as you have with a stock Neon. Third gear is a big problem. It just kind of exapts it. So as far as problems go with these, you're going to have the same problems as you have with almost the stock Neon, maybe a few more. Third gear is always an issue with these, and of course, if you put some power behind it and your third gear is already going out of your transmission, that's just going to accelerate that problem, obviously. Axles and wheel hop are the biggest problem with built SRT4s, along with the tune, obviously. But upgraded axles are super expensive. There's no warranty, in my opinion, unless you're making stupid power, you have unlimited money, or a lot of money to burn. I probably wouldn't get upgraded axles as long as you aren't launching, and as long as you're not pushing 500 horsepower. You're probably gonna be fine, because launches are normally what destroys the axles, along with having slicks there and wheel hop. And you could get an OEM one from Dodge for I think they're $300 now. Don't quote me on that. And I want to say you could get an AutoZone one for $80. And I've thrown an AutoZone one on my old one and it was fine, and that one was all stock. But yeah, that's something I'd probably say to watch out for. Other than that, yeah, they could be extremely reliable. And it's funny because I pull up to the car meet all the time, and the first thing someone tells me is, "Oh, it's probably fun to how it breaks down because it's a Neon." And yeah, it is a cheaper car, but they could be made reliably. I drove up to Detroit, Michigan from where I live is about 8 hours. Picked this up, drove it back. I've put about 3,000 miles on it. I haven't really done a whole lot of anything, but I haven't had any issues with it whatsoever as far as reliability and everything goes. The previous one that I owned, I bought at, I think, 86,000 miles, and I sold it at 112,000 miles once I got out of college. And I had a wheel bearing go out in that, but once again, with that age, it's kind of, mileage, that's kind of a common issue. and it had the steering box actually came loose in it. But nothing that really left me stranded or anything, so that was a pretty reliable car. Like I said, I had a few friends who've owned SRT4s too, and I had a friend who spent, I think I want to say $3,000, $4,000 on a rust bucket of one, and that was 4 or 5 years ago when these cars were going for a lot more money. That was not very reliable, but obviously too, I mean, you're paying, you know, he paid half to a third of what you pay for one in a decent condition at the time. And that wasn't the most reliable thing. But the other one that he had has some cosmetic issues, but that thing pulled really hard for a stock size turbo. I had pretty much every other supporting mod for a stock turbo that you can need, and never really had any issues with that. Had another friend, he had one probably similar horsepower as this, body wasn't nearly as good a shape. Didn't have any issues with that besides that drag strip. He snapped his axles, which once again we already kind of went over that. And I have another friend who has one that probably makes a little bit over 500 horsepower. He's got down to low 11s and still can't keep traction with it. And that hasn't had any issues. And of course that was gone through right. Him and his dad built it. They did all the research on it. And it was a car that was done right. And that's the biggest thing, is finding one of these that isn't abused and one that's done right. Because once again, you get someone that doesn't do it right, of course you're gonna have issues. You get one that's beat the piss all the time, you know, once again, of course you're gonna have issues. And, you know, if they're a sporty car, you're not going to find one probably. I shouldn't say you're not going to find one. It's going to be rare if you find one where some old person's owned it and has never beat on it at all. They're 15-year-old cars, you know, they're meant to be driven a little hard here and there in a sports car. So that's kind of going to be what you find. So that's pretty much all I really have to say about this here. If you guys have any, you know, other questions or anything you'd like to add, feel free to leave a comment here. I'll try to get back to you there. And say if you like this video, or if you know are interested in SRT4, let me know kind of what other videos you want to see, and feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel here. But yeah, I'll go ahead with that here and show you a quick view of the turbo, just to show you that it is a built car. Okay, so kind of ignore the catch can there. I just did a quick paint job on that. Blue was a lot uglier than I thought it was going to be, but is what it is there. Turbo there does not look that impressive, but I guarantee you that is much bigger than a stock turbo. It is a Borg Warner S256, and then engine's been built bottom end stock compression. It's been polished and ported heads. They're 1mm oversized valves there. Stage 2 cams, exhaust has been gone through. I won't run into that. Transmission's had a little bit of work. Obviously different fuel pump. Biggest thing living this right now is it has 750 injectors. It does have meth injection. I need 1000 cc injectors if I'm going to run 93 still, or you know, race gas when I take to the track. But I've been debating if I want to do that or go 85. So essentially, I've been holding out on that. I don't know what I'm going to do there, but we'll see. And then as far as other performance mods, just you know, a bunch of supported mods, what you need, or you know, everything you need for a big turbo and everything there. If you guys have any questions about the build or anything here, you know, let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to answer those to you. See you guys.